Alright guys, we've got a massive update for the Nintendo Switch 1 and of course things that will be transferring over to the Nintendo Switch 2 with Nintendo Switch firmware update 20.0.0. We've got the full patch notes, the ramifications, and what this update is going to do to get you ready for the Nintendo Switch 2. So we've got that and some other updates and games to go over. So this is definitely an update that you want to have on your Nintendo Switch 1 if you plan on transferring over your data to the Nintendo Switch 2, because there are a number of things that are happening here. And even for people that are planning on trading in their system, there is a little bit of a stopgap if you want to go do that right now at this point, or if you want to wait to the last second. Nintendo has a solution for those that want to knock off some of the price from the Nintendo Switch 2 by trading in their Nintendo Switch 1, or if you're just going to be selling your Nintendo Switch 1 or giving it away. So there is a really cool option in here with this latest firmware update. So let's go over the patch notes, then we'll hit on the bigger points of this. So they've added the virtual card system that Nintendo talked about. It's a pretty interesting system here. We're going to go over what it says. It's a little confusing, but once you actually play around with it, you kind of understand exactly what it's about. So the virtual card system: purchase Nintendo Switch digital software, DLC, and some free software are now virtual game cards and displayed in a list in this menu. You can virtually load and eject virtual game cards between up to 2 Nintendo Switch systems. Virtual game cards can be lent to others in the same Nintendo account family group. For more information, see the virtual game card guide. And they also have on-screen guides from when you're going through this yourself on your system. Next up is Game Share, another really cool feature that actually implements the Nintendo Switch 1. Even though the Nintendo Switch 2 will be the games that are actually taking advantage and you'll be game sharing from, you can game share to a Nintendo Switch 1 system, so there needed to be an update to allow that. So compatible software can be shared from a Nintendo Switch 2 system to other nearby systems to play together. You can only play together via local wireless, and the Nintendo Switch 2 system must initiate game share. This feature cannot be used between 2 Nintendo Switch OLED model and or Nintendo Switch Lite system. So this is a Switch 2 feature. The processing, obviously, it'll be able to beam that game out better, and it's just a feature that's set for the Nintendo Switch 2. But if you have a Nintendo Switch 1, it can be used with certain titles to be able to play a local wireless game. Next up is user verification settings that have been updated under user settings. You can restrict access to virtual game card menu by requiring entry of a PIN or signing into your Nintendo account. So if you want to lock things down a bit, you also have the online license settings, which have been added. When turned on, you can play downloaded software or DLC you've purchased while the system is connected to the internet, even if you don't have the virtual game card loaded. So this is one of the things that's kind of tricky if you're trying to play digital games but don't have an online connection. Before, it used to have to make you get an online connection to check to verify your games, but now if you go through this, you don't have to worry about that. That's actually a pretty good feature overall. More information is in the system settings menu screen there. Next up, the Nintendo eShop and Nintendo Switch News icon colors on the home menu have been changed. Multiple save data can be selected and transferred at once in Transfer Your Save Data menu. Now, this is the big thing here, getting ready from the Nintendo Switch 1 to the Nintendo Switch 2. System transfer to Nintendo Switch 2 has been added under System Settings and System. You can perform a system transfer from the Nintendo Switch to the Nintendo Switch 2 using local communication. For users that will lose access to their Nintendo Switch before receiving their Nintendo Switch 2, there is an option to upload system transfer data to a dedicated server which can be retrieved on their Nintendo Switch 2. After you upload your system transfer data to the dedicated server, the Nintendo Switch system will be initialized to factory settings, so only perform this transfer if you'll be able to complete the transfer on the Nintendo Switch 2. if you want to continue using your Nintendo Switch until you have a Nintendo Switch 2, we recommend completing the system transfer using local communication after you have acquired a Nintendo Switch 2 system. So I want to just spend a little bit of time on this because this is actually a really good forward-thinking feature. So let's just say you want to trade in your Nintendo Switch so you can put some money down or pay off your Nintendo Switch 2. You can get a lot of the bulk of the work done by getting the data transferred over to the dedicated server where it will be stored. So then you can just trade in that Switch, or you can sell your Switch, get the money, do whatever you need to do, put it towards the Nintendo Switch 2, and then once you get it on launch day, you can upload that data. You can retrieve it and upload the data, which is once again a very good thing, and you don't need NSO in order to get it done. It'll hold all that data on there. So that's actually a really good thing for those that are trading in their system, because yeah, you might want to knock some off the price. One thing that people have been talking about, how it's kind of expensive in some places. Well, if you trade in your Nintendo Switch 1, you can definitely knock off at least $100 plus or so off the price, or if you sell it on the market. So I think that's a very good feature for people that are looking to upgrade, or people that are going to be losing their access or giving the system away to a family member or something like that. Now, we do have a bit more. An internet connection and Nintendo account is required to complete both local and server-based system transfer. More information you can see on the system transfer from Nintendo Switch to Nintendo Switch 2. The appearance of some of the user icons have also been updated. I'll flash those icons on here. They've been changed to updated, the Donkey Kong one and the Mario. Little changes here and there, so that's pretty cool. Now, for more detailed information about Nintendo Switch 2, obviously we've got tons of videos on this channel, and there's more information on Nintendo's website. Now, here's one more thing to note as well. The use of the primary console has been deprecated with the transition to virtual game cards, and pass-enabled console will be used instead. On a console set as the pass-enabled console, for a user, all users on the console can access certain subscriptions or passes from software. More information, you can check that out. So essentially, Nintendo kind of had it locked down a little bit. If you had DLC or certain things, they'd lock it to certain users overall. But now they've opened it up a bit more, and also kind of made the virtual game cards almost like, hey, look, it's a better lending system to be able to access those games within your family. You can't do it online. That's for like game share, stuff like that. But when it comes to local, adding someone, you have to be there at first. Now, once you add them, then it's fine. You can transfer it, no problem, but they have to have that Switch there first when it comes down to the local transfer of certain games, the virtual game cards. But I do think that it's a nice system to add, and it's definitely something with the system transfer that's going to help people getting into the Nintendo Switch 2. But hopefully all of you guys can help me, and those who are not subscribed yet can hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and click that notification bell to get the best Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more as soon as it drops. So that's essentially the Nintendo Switch version 20.0.0 update. It's a big update. There's probably a lot of questions some of you guys have, which I think in the coming weeks or so, people will tinker around with it and we'll get more information on everything when it comes down to it. But I do suggest downloading the update and seeing for yourself how your digital games and all of that kind of play out, because I do think that it's pretty cool. And I think that the best thing about this is something that I did live on stream just recently. And then the best thing is that all your digital games are all now set on the dashboard. There's an option for the virtual game card, so you don't have to go to your eShop and to the page and the re-download, and it loads real slowly. This is super fast and efficient to access all of your digital games. You've got sorting options and everything. So I really like that they added that to the actual system and not having to go through the eShop in order to do the re-download. It's going to be able to organize and get together all of your digital games a lot easier, and that's definitely a good thing, because transitioning over to Nintendo Switch 2, people are going to be bringing over a large library of digital games for a lot of people out there. So it makes sense that they actually had this ready to go about a month or so before the Nintendo Switch 2 is set to release. So definitely good news all around there. So let's get into the next topic here, guys. And it's one thing, it's kind of more of like a PSA. Do not use the Nintendo Switch 1 with the Nintendo Switch 2 dock, and vice versa. It's not going to be compatible, at least according to Nintendo. So one thing that you guys might not see as a surprise is that Nintendo posted some information talking about the new dock for the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, Nintendo has confirmed that no model of the original Nintendo Switch works with the Nintendo Switch 2 dock. That's the Switch Lite, that's the Switch version 1, version 2, and the Nintendo Switch OLED. You cannot use any of the standard switches when it comes to the Switch 2 dock. I've had people saying that they're going to try it out, or no, it's okay, it's probably just going to work, and no, don't do it. You might mess something up on the dock or the Switch 1 system that you're trying to do that. Now, some have been hoping that maybe there's some compatibility just because there's the same thickness of the systems. It should be able to fit normally, but no, I would not do it if I were you. But the Nintendo Switch 2 dock obviously looks like the Nintendo Switch OLED dock, but it's a bit more round. I think it's a slight bit bigger overall. It just looks a little bit different. And it does have a fan in there, so it has a fan to keep the Nintendo Switch 2 cool. I don't know how that would operate with the Nintendo Switch 1 system, considering the dock for the Nintendo Switch 1 does not have a fan. It relies on the fan that's already inside the system. With the power jump of the Nintendo Switch 2, you're going to get a lot stronger system that's unleashed a bit more in docked mode compared to handheld. So Nintendo found it fit that they have to keep the system cool more since it's outputting more power when docked. So they decided to add another fan to make sure that they don't have a RROD situation back in the day with the Xbox 360, the red ring of death, because of overheating systems. So you don't want that. So Nintendo added in another dock there. If you look at it overall, I've looked at all the kind of stuff that you get with the Nintendo Switch 2, with the prices going up and everything. We've talked about the Mario Kart over and over, don't like the prices going up. But overall, you get the dock, you get the Nintendo Switch 2 system, you get a pretty powerful device overall with the dock with the fan built into it. But it's definitely going to be running a lot more powerful in the docked mode. So you don't want to mess anything up with your Nintendo Switch 1. And of course, you don't want to put your Nintendo Switch 2 system in your Nintendo Switch 1 dock because it needs the fan too. So I'm pretty sure it won't even work at all. But just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up, don't do that, at least according to Nintendo. We'll see. People will probably still try to get it to work or something like that. We're gonna move on to the next topic here, guys, and we've got a Borderlands 4 release date. It's been moved up, and we've got a state of play set for April 30th. So Gearbox Entertainment CEO Randy Pitchford announced the release date for Borderlands 4 has been moved up from September 23rd to September 12th. There's also a dedicated state of play from PlayStation coming that's set for 2 p.m. PT, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 p.m. UK, and that is April 30th. So if you're watching that today, that is today. It'll feature over 20 minutes of new weapons, abilities, missions, and more. You can watch it on YouTube and Twitch. Quote, "I told you I would have some news for you today about Borderlands 4, and I do," said Pitchford via Video Games Chronicle. "It's not the news you're expecting, it's about the launch date. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, at no point has there ever been a game that's announced a launch date and then later had to announce that the launch date is changing. But I wanted to be the one to tell you that the launch date is changing. I know we've promised that Borderlands 4 would come out at the end of September. The team has been working very hard and everything is going great. In fact, everything's going kind of the best case scenario. The game is awesome, the team is cooking, and so the launch date for Borderlands 4 is changing. We're moving it forward. The launch date is now September 12th. Just want to give you guys a little bit of a side note thing here. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 had its launch date moved up by months. It kind of like swapped with Splatoon, so it's happened before, and there's been other games as well, but you know, it's all good. Randy's kind of out there at times. Anyway, Borderlands 4 is in development for the Nintendo Switch 2, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC via Steam Epic Game Store. I don't think the Nintendo Switch 2 version is launching exactly at that point. We got to double check on that. It might be a little bit later, but yeah, either way, it's coming out to Nintendo Switch 2. We'll see if it actually makes that date. But anyway, do you guys plan on actually playing Borderlands 4? Borderlands has always been a game, I think since Borderlands 3, that I stopped buying overall, at least day one. I always wait till it's discounted and then I'll check it out to see if I like it. I did that with Borderlands 3. I actually did that with the pre-sequel and all that other stuff. Pretty much the last time that I actually spent full price buying Borderlands was Borderlands 2. Last time that I was super excited about Borderlands. So it's actually been over a decade plus since I've even been interested in the franchise. But it does look pretty cool, Borderlands 4. People really enjoy the Borderlands games. It's got great co-op and a lot of different guns. I'm interested in seeing the item management because that's one of the things that I dislike the most about Borderlands game is the constant having to swap with guns and all that. So I hope that they fix that or they do something to make it a bit better when it comes to quality of life features. But we'll have to wait and see. There's also like not enough slots at the beginning of the game. You're constantly fighting with how many slots and guns. It just becomes a hassle overall. Now, some have also equated this meaning that GTA 6 is going to be set for this year because they're moving it up and they want to give it more time. But obviously GTA 6 maybe seems a little bit more likely now with Take-Two moving this up as well. So what do you guys think about everything here that we talked about when it comes to the big Nintendo Switch update and the impending Nintendo Switch 2 and everything else? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.